psychopaths on Wall Street. Sherry Kovnoy, in the new magazine, in the trade magazine CFA. This is a magazine for Wall Street, a trade magazine for the financial services industry. Says that 1 out of 10 people on Wall Street is a psychopath. That's 10 times higher than the average population. You know, the banksters like stealing candy from little children. No, I'm not exaggerating. They actually do like stealing candy from little children. At least according to a new study out from the University of California, Berkeley, and the University of Toronto. These two teams of researchers discovered that wealthy upper-class Americans are more likely than middle-class or poorer Americans to break traffic laws, to lie for financial gain, and yes, to steal candy from children. Here's how they did the studies. First, came to traffic laws. They observed, for multi-day or week periods, a bunch of traffic intersections. And what they found was that people driving higher-end cars like BMWs and Mercedes were more likely to break traffic laws or cut off pedestrians than people driving cars like Camrys and Corollas. In another study, they found that wealthier people were 3 times. This was one where they said, here, roll a die and tell us what the number is. And each person got to say what the number was, but nobody could see what the actual die said, except that they didn't know that there was a camera up in the ceiling that was actually looking at it. So the researchers knew what the die said. Oh, he rolled a 5. But, you know, what does the person, or he rolled a 2. What does the person say it was? Wealthier people were 3 times more likely to lie when there was a $50 prize at stake for whoever rolled the highest number. The lead researcher of the study, a fellow by the name of Dr. Paul Piff, noted, even in people for whom $50 is a relatively small amount of money, cheating was 3 times as high. I guess they just can't help themselves. But the next part of this study really takes the cake. Researchers put a jar of candy in front of someone and then said, this candy's for the kids in the lab next door. Open jar of candy right next to them, sitting right next to their chair. And then the researcher leaves the room. And sure enough, wealthier people were twice as likely to steal candy and took twice as much candy from the jar as poorer people did. Based on these observations, Dr. Piff concluded, it really shows the extreme lengths to which wealth and upper rank status in society can shape patterns of self-interest and unethicality. My response to this? Hey, no kidding. Something about Sherlock and Shinola. Anyhow, so the rich like to steal candy from children. You know, frankly, I doubt most people are surprised, right? But what's really important here is that they've stolen from, is what they have stolen from all of us over the last 30 years. Consider some of the things that they've stolen from us. First of all, they've stolen our money. You know, 80% of all the new wealth created in America since Ronald Reagan took office in 81 went to just the top 1% of Americans. Prior to Reagan, most wealth was evenly distributed among the American populace. Since Reagan, 80% goes to the top 1%. Did you know that despite increased productivity, in other words, working people are producing more money for the companies that they work for, working people's wages have barely increased in those 30 years? This means Americans aren't getting the fruits of their labor. Instead, all that money is left over from all that increased productivity over the past 30 years, ever since Reaganomics hit us, trillions of dollars that should have gone into your pockets, into workers' pockets, was instead taken by the CEOs and shareholders. The top 1% have seen their after-tax income go up 275% since 1980. Middle-class income hasn't even kept up with inflation. Net zero if you consider inflation. Not to mention that these banksters moved $7 trillion worth of wealth out of the hands and homes of the middle class when they crashed our economy during Bush's presidency. They're not just stealing our money, they're also stealing our commons, the second thing that they're stealing. Corporations like the Correction Corporation of America, they're conning state governments into selling off public prisons to be run for profit. This costs taxpayers a whole pile of money in the long run. And while they're at it, they're stealing our freedom. Another thing that they're stealing. Those same for-profit prison corporations, for example, support candidates who push for harsher and harsher drug laws and other laws, 3 strikes and you're out, those kind of things, that throw more and more Americans into prison. Who wins? The CEOs and the stockholders. They make more money. While the working class or the out of work, who might get busted trying to steal some food or are trying to make a living doing something that might be a little marginally, you want to sell some pot or something, boom, they're wiped out. As a result, America now has the highest incarceration rate in the entire world, both per capita and in absolute numbers, and we've been in that realm basically since the Reagan administration. Now, a lot of that actually you can attribute to Nixon's drug war, but it really went on steroids with Reagan. On top of that, in Michigan, you got crazy Governor Rick Snyder, who was elected with a little help from his friends, the millionaires and billionaires, signing a financial manager law last year that allowed a crony of his to collect $250,000 to take control of a city, sell off its commons like its public parks and utilities to corporate interests at fire sale prices. What else are they stealing? They're stealing our right to democratize the workplace through unions. Since 1980, union membership has just fallen through the floor, beginning with Reagan breaking up PATCO. It was 25% of the workforce was unionized when Reagan came into office. It's now like 8% of the private workforce. Most recently, Indiana became the 23rd state in the nation to pass a right to work for less law. What happens in right to work for less states? Workers make about $5,000 a year less than they do in free bargaining states. Welcome to poverty, Indiana. Mitch Daniels is doing so good for you. What else have they stolen? They've stolen our right to health care. Unlike every single other developed nation in the world, the United States doesn't consider health care a basic human right. Why? Because Republicans and the health insurance billionaires who support them have launched massive lobbying efforts by the for-profit health insurance industry, which, by the way, makes trillions of dollars denying sick people medical care. They've even stolen our peace. Drive around Michigan or drive around Virginia, and you see all kinds of gigantic mansions belonging to defense contractors who lobby Congress for more and more weapon systems, whether we need them or not, and beat the drums for war to keep their profits up. That's why the defense budget has tripled since 1997, and why since that time our nation has been in perpetual warfare. And most tragically, they've stolen our right to self-governance. The Supreme Court delivered that terrible blow to our democracy in 2010 with Citizens United decision, which lets rich people spend unlimited amounts of money to steal our elections. $300 million in the 2010 midterms. And what did they get out of it? One of the most corporate-friendly houses in the history of the nation. This year's election probably going to be more than $1 billion in corporate cash.